Welcome to this meeting. Would you please join me for the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Katrina, did he turn us back on?
And again, thank you all for coming. We have a resignation that I'm going to read the resignation letter. It says, "Dear members of the Select Board and residents of Vernon, Vermont, it is with a heavy heart that I must inform you that I need to step down as a member of the board effective immediately. I will also need to step down from my other positions related to the town of Vernon, including representative to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District, the Wyndham County Economic Development Program Advisory Committee, the Recycling Committee, the Town Administrator Search Committee, the Tax Stabilization Committee, and the Fiber Optic Committee. I am grateful to everyone who has supported me and helped me during this term and all the previous terms I have served, and I am truly sorry for having to let everyone down by not being able to serve my entire term. But personal issues have arisen, and I will need to be able to maintain all my focus on those issues. It has been an honor working with such dedicated people and a pleasure getting to meet the diverse group of residents who call this wonderful little town their home, and I will miss each and every one of you. I wish you the best moving forward and would again like to apologize for any of the inconvenience this may or will cause. Mike Courtemanche." And I wrote up something from the board to him. "The Select Board and all the committees he has served on has lost a good man. His capabilities are beyond measure. His intelligence and his knowledge of the town will be greatly missed. Mike has a love for the town and its people, which is something to admire. We could always count on Mike to know what the board should do in any circumstance. It is the board's hope that whatever battle lies ahead for him and his family, they fight and fight hard and win. When they win, we hope he comes back to serve the town once again. The board would like to thank Mike for all he has done for the community and for the people. The board sends hopes, positive thoughts, and prayers, and hope that he knows they are with him and his family always." All right, we will move on. We want to discuss who we wanted for committee. Well, first we need to pick a vice chair. If I could have a nomination.
I move to nominate Sandy Harris as vice chair.
Second.
Any discussion?
I can't hit it on camera, can
No.
No. Motion has been made and seconded to have Sandy Harris as vice chair. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. You wondered why I hesitated, didn't you? I was really thinking
I
about
know
it.
you were.
Okay. I'm kidding. I forgot I was gonna vote for that one. Or vote, with the rest of the group. So, Sandy, you are now vice chair.
Thank you, I think.
Want to take the meeting over?
No,
Also, we need somebody for a representative to solid waste management. Does anybody have anyone in mind?
I would like to nominate or recommend Tim Franklin.
Tim Franklin for Wyndham Solid Waste Management District?
Right, Tim Franklin.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Is Mr. Franklin willing to do it?
He is.
Oh, okay, then I'm okay with it.
Josh?
Yeah, that's great.
I need a motion.
I move Tim Franklin.
Second.
All right, motion has been made and seconded to nominate or appoint Tim Franklin to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You got that? Ayes have it. Wyndham County Economic Development Program Advisory Committee?
Is that the Wiki Dip?
Yes, yes. I'm on it, but Brana's also a person that goes, but she doesn't have voting authority, so I would like to see that she was given voting authority, so that, because I'm not gonna be able to always go, so,
So moved.
and she goes every meeting, okay?
Second.
All right, so motion's been made and seconded to appoint Brana, I'm not pronouncing your last name, Z, to the Wyndham County Economic Development Program Advisory Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Remember, all three of you have to vote now. The Recycling Committee, did we have anybody that else was interested? We
Was
have
it the
somebody.
Frank? No, was it the?
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought Franklin's was, too.
No, it's
Cheryl Franklin.
Either one.
Gerald Franklin. What do you think? You think she'd take it?
She might, yeah.
She already, doesn't she already come to meetings and stuff?
Well, she does, because she's Guilford's rep
Right.
for Wyndham Solid Waste.
Oh, no, but I'm talking Recycle Committee.
Yeah, you could ask her.
Will you ask her?
I will
Then
ask
we
her.
won't appoint anybody tonight.
Oh,
All right, we need another person for the town administrator, search committee, please.
I'm already on it.
You're already on it.
We'll do it.
You'll do it, okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been, motion's been made and seconded that Josh Unruh be appointed to the town administrator search committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The Tax Stabilization Committee. And because I've done it before, if they'll have me, I just as soon sit on it.
Yep. And I'm already on it, so.
You're on it already, and it was because we wanted 2 select board members,
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that me be appointed to the Tax Stabilization Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And then the Fiber Optic Committee. Is there anybody?
I'm interested in that one,
That's what I thought. I was so hoping.
because I know nothing about
So
it.
moved.
Welcome to the
Second.
club.
That was, yeah, I was mostly because I'm interested, I don't know what it's about.
All right, motion's been made and seconded to put Emily on, appoint Emily to the Fiber Optic Subcommittee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah.
I keep forgetting, I gotta vote on those kind of things. All right. So, we can move on, I think. Is there anything else that you'd like to say, anybody?
No, I think as in terms of responding to the resignation, I think you spoke for me as well. We will also need to do, and I don't know that we need to do it tonight, liaisons.
No, who was he at liaison?
I think he had a number of,
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
what he
just give
had,
me
but maybe
everybody.
we can do that.
I don't know.
Maybe we can do that next.
it was planning commission.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, well, he was on a bunch of them, so maybe can we put that off?
Yeah,
until
we'll put that on the
next
next
meeting?
agenda.
Put it on the next
Yeah.
agenda?
Yes, please. And, do we want to stay as a 4-member board until March, or do we want to appoint someone?
I think by the time we've announced it tonight, yeah, by the time it takes to do yet another election and everything, they would have been sitting on the board for a month
Yeah,
or
I
two
don't think
before the
we
next
would,
election.
we would run another election. What we would do is we could appoint somebody as an interim to sit here until March. Like we had Steve Skibniowsky and we had Munson, before, they only sat until
Until
the
the
elections came, until Sandy and them came.
Do we have anyone here that's interested? I know that's what you guys did last time.
Who's not planning on
Who's not
running.
planning on
That's
running.
the
Yes, we
thing. Or
don't
who
want
will
somebody
not
that's
run.
running.
Yes.
I guess that's the thing, they
Would
will not.
Steve be willing to sit back on the board till March?
I'm quite surprised about Mike's resignation.
We were
and
too.
Yeah.
I haven't really sorted all of that through. I did have some thoughts about running in March, but
Oh,
I'm,
okay.
so I would probably want not to commit to that at this point.
All right, very good. Well, there's Munson, however, he's in Boston till the 15th, which is only 2 weeks away. We could ask him. He was a good board member, he really was. I felt that he was, you know, very, you know, yes, and unbiased, and not, a non-personal agenda person kind of thing.
How about Mr. Dunkley?
Yeah,
Well-
I'd be willing to serve again if you'd have me back.
You would?
Yeah, I'd serve with renewed vigor and spirit.
So moved.
I would, yeah, that'd be great.
Second?
Do you have to call him Mr. Dunkley?
Pardon?
Can we call him Jeff?
Do we have to?
We can call him
Mr.
Jeff.
Dunkley?
No, that's my
Are you
thought.
running again, or you're just gonna,
No, I'm not
just,
gonna, no.
you know, you're just gonna be, you know, let's go. All, motion's been made and seconded to, appoint Jeff Dunkley until, after election day in March 1st, I believe it is. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Whoops. The ayes have it.
Good time of year when you get to work.
Come on in, we're gonna put you to
Going
work.
right up there, and I got a package right there
Yeah.
for you.
You have to
This
swear
is
me
for
in.
tomorrow night.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I got one here.
Do you have a package?
You
can
want to be
use mine.
sworn in.
Yeah.
You do need to swear in.
Huh?
You need to swear in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need my book
You're
first.
just gonna swear in.
Yeah, I'm gonna swear at you too, okay? You have to let me find it though first. I believe it's page 15. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. I knew I was close. Do you, Jeff Dunkley, solemnly swear that you will faithfully execute the office of Select Board Person to the best of your judgment and ability, according to the law, so help you God?
I will, so help me God.
And you're sworn in, you are now our appointee. That's good. Good. Okay, everybody all set?
No, it's not.
Open meeting, open public comments, anybody have comments they would like to make? That does not pertain to anything on the agenda. Rhonda, come on, you must have something.
Just
Gee.
one set of minutes I'd like to not have it.
Yeah. Good evening,
Good evening.
and, if you got the newsletter, well, first of all, for the newsletter, it came out, I didn't do it till yesterday night, and it came out this morning at 5 o'clock, and I only had, I think, 6 pages, and so I'd like some more material for it. The second thing is, on Sunday, December 13th, there's gonna be something called the Vernon Artisans Market. It's gonna have, at the moment, it has 3 sites: Vermont Wood Studios, my studio, and the lobby in the town office building. Margaret Shipman and I are organizing it. We've invited artisans, we've invited the historians, Sandy. We're hoping to get in touch with Gretchen Harvey and Donna Scully and Nancy Renaud. We want as many people to know about it. It will be announced in the newsletter in December. So I'm letting you know now, if you know anybody who's an artisan, doesn't have to be an artisan, Sally Brasser is going to be there talking about nutrition. So please let us know, let me know, because you see me all the time.
What's the date again, Bronna?
Sunday afternoon from 12 to 4, December 13th. It's 2 weeks after Home for the Holidays, and it's enough time before Christmas that you can buy stuff.
That's great, thank you. come forward, please. You have to come up here. Sorry, we need your voice on the mic.
Just wanted to remind everyone that there is going to be a planning commission informational session on the gas plant next Tuesday at 6:30 in the school cafeteria. Everybody should get a flyer tomorrow courtesy of the select board. Thank you for agreeing to do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving on. Any additions to the agenda?
I don't have any.
No one? All right. We're moving even further. Delinquent tax collector, Marylynn, please come forward. Should be in order. Oh, you have it. Oh, yes. Haven't we met before? Have you been here before?
I have not, no.
No? Okay. Well, welcome. And let
you.
us introduce ourselves so you know us personally after this.
Wonderful.
I'm Josh.
Ari Rockland-Miller, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Ari.
Hi, and I'm Chris Howe.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
Nice to meet
I won't
you.
make you walk
That's
around.
all right.
Emily Vergobi.
Nice to meet you,
Sandy
Emily.
yours.
Nice to meet you, Cindy.
I'm Katrina Lawley.
Nice to meet you, Katrina.
Okay. So what we got here is this doesn't need to be executive session, I'm assuming.
No.
Okay, wasn't before, you know.
Should I start?
Sure, yes.
So I've been working with Marylynn in collecting the town's delinquent taxes. And there is a parcel which we're particularly concerned about in that it's at 124 Oxcart Road. And it's parcel number 440900 on the tax map, on the grand list. Right now there are over 4,000, I believe as of October 1st, 4,142 total in delinquent taxes for the property. I think it's 4,142 and 10 cents as of October 1st. And that's a combination of 2,200 and 76 cents for the 2013-2014 year, and 1,941.34 cents for 2014-2015. On top of that, there's also a current the current taxes also are overdue. There's $855.88 of a recent tax bill assessed on September 17th, which has not been paid for the property. And it's the grand list value of this property, it's a house and 0.69 acres. The grand list value is $118,700. The concern is that the property is held in the name of a decedent who passed away in 2001. Marylynn believes that the property is currently occupied. I think Marylynn thinks her son is living there, and the problem is that the taxes are not getting paid. And Marylynn, will sometimes do tax sales to collect delinquent taxes. The problem is that it's a legally problematic, or can be problematic, to complete a tax sale when title is held in the name of someone who's passed away, a decedent. There's no entity against which to proceed with the tax sale. So what we're proposing tonight is to obtain the select board's authorization to open an estate in the name of Gene Casey, who's the decedent, in whose name title is currently held. So if we open this estate, we'd have an entity against which to proceed in the collection of delinquent taxes or a possible tax sale if needed. Does that cover it?
The taxes have on and off over the years been paid, but paid by a daughter who lives in Florida. So, and there's no one, legally responsible for paying them. So, and then there's another piece of property that we wanted to talk about too, that's adjacent to this one.
Right.
That's also in Mrs. Casey's name, her mother's name, and her aunt's name, who are all deceased. And Mrs. Casey's former husband, who I believe is still alive. He lives in Florida, and I only believe he's still alive because when I send a tax bill, it doesn't come back. Or else else someone who's living at that resident just throws it away. So,
And we've been through this before with
Yeah.
Another property.
And there are, of course, some costs involved in opening an estate,
Right.
to be clear, we don't have an exact number, but my best estimate would be $4,000 to $5,000 to open the estate. And those fees should be recoverable ultimately, but the town would have to advance them. So just to be clear, there's an expense associated with this, but of course, the alternative is the property is
sitting there
sitting
and not
there
collecting any
and not collecting
Not
taxes,
collecting
and that
taxes.
becomes a problem in the future too, and compounds.
And did we have a grand total of 4,925, or is that's what I have?
Okay, so that was as of September 1st,
Right.
as of
Okay.
October
Then we've
1st,
been-
4,142.
interest has been, and then this month's interest, of course, on just that one property.
Okay. And then what was the other piece, how much was that?
On the other property,
Yeah.
the other property has,
Would they be in the estate of the same, you would make it a
How could you with one person still living?
one person still, I mean, I don't even know if that person still is alive or not for sure. I don't know, except I'm not getting mail back.
well, then I don't think we should be doing that.
The other property has,
But they didn't accept the mail when we sent it, the mail was refused.
How about, and you sent it registered mail and
Sent it
everything?
registered mail and the mail was refused.
I think we'd have to find out whether the person is still alive or not. We can't just take it from if somebody's alive. Is there a way we can find out if,
we certainly could find out, yeah, and what we're talking about today would be opening an estate in Ms. Casey's name, it wouldn't
just,
mean,
just for this piece,
Right,
right?
and just in this one right now.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
And we can find out if her former husband is, there is a way we can do that. It's costs a little bit, but we can do that.
And, and your fee to open this estate, we could get it back if you sell the property, say, for taxes and stuff?
Yeah, if the town opens an estate, someone who advances money toward an estate can recover that.
Added to fees,
Okay,
fees due.
as long as we can recover it.
So we're not gonna spend $5,000 to get $4,000 back.
That's pretty much what you're gonna do.
No, but then we'll get the
And then it's on the tax rolls.
But then we get
That's,
nine,
that's the big thing, is that's back on the tax
Tax
rolls,
rolls.
yeah. As well as, sort of sending a message.
Makes someone liable for the taxes right now, no
Their
one
taxes
is
they have to
liable
pay,
for the
yeah.
taxes.
Josh, do you have something to ask?
No, I think it makes sense for us to set up an estate if we're gonna be able to recover
As long as
what
we're
we
gonna be
put
recovered,
forward.
yes.
And hopefully the $4,000 that's owed, and we get it back on tax roll, it makes sense.
Yeah. Sandy? Em-
Agreed.
Emily? Okay, pleasure of the board?
Do you want us, one issue, okay, fine.
No, go ahead.
No, that's one issue, then that's
Yeah.
one thing.
Let's take care of that. Any more discussion?
I make a motion that we authorize Fitz Olson and Giddings to open the estate of Jean Casey in order to make it possible to sell the property at 124 Oxcart Road as needed to collect delinquent taxes.
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion? All right, motion's been made to, did you get that motion?
It's right in the administrative report.
Well, I've done
Yes.
lost that again. I keep
I'm
playing
gonna
with
put
my
it on different
papers.
color paper.
Yes, would you do that for me?
Tattoo it on it.
Pink. All right, the motion's been made and seconded to authorize Fitz Olson and Giddings to open an estate of Jean Casey in order to make it possible to sell the property at 124 Oxcart Road in Vernon as needed to collect delinquent taxes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Did we have ayes over here?
She did, two over here.
No, actually four. Okay, ayes have it, so go with the next one?
Next question is, do you want us to pursue finding if William Casey is still alive?
I don't think that we could we could make that an estate without knowing whether he's dead or alive, I don't think. I mean, what's the board's
And
pleasure?
an estate would be in the name of a person, so it wouldn't be in the name of the entire property, but you are right that a tax sale then would have its own issues if it's the title's in the name of several people, you know.
Right, I
But the
mean,
estate would be for only Gene Casey in this case, yeah.
yes,
Yes.
and this one is just Gene Casey, but the other one
One
has
is-
several people
Right,
on
so
it.
you're right,
and
yeah.
It's three
Everyone else
deceased, three
except
deceased
but one.
people and one we're not
We're not sure.
totally aware, so do you want us, I mean, there's a cost to finding out if,
What would the cost be?
I'm not sure. I can start by calling the records
Town clerk?
office in Florida and finding out if they'll just give me that information, which wouldn't cost anything. Whether they will or not, I don't know.
Should be able to, that's public information, is it not?
Well,
Not
Well, not
Not
always,
always.
yeah, 'cause I
Certain
mean,
states are different.
that would be kinda dangerous.
But we can't do anything with the property until we know
That
whether
second property, just so you all know, is a grand list value of 44,000, sorry, excuse me, what's the grand list value on it? 40,800, 40,800, it's 2 acres. And that one currently has, I believe a total of $1,423.73. That sound right, from the, collectively? Of delinquent taxes?
13, almost 1,400 now, cause interest is built up, so.
Yeah, so
yeah.
about $1,400 in delinquent taxes.
So that would be another 5,000 just to collect
Right, but
1,400.
But it has, the land has value to it, so.
Mhm.
I don't think the 5,000 would be the accurate
Yes.
figure, cause it'd be the same estate would be opening,
No, but you're
But-
approximately,
but yeah, but it'd be the same, opening an estate for Gene Casey could apply to both, however.
Oh, I see.
However, moving towards a tax sale in the context of the second property would be much more complicated, cause there are other people interested in the title as well, so
Mhm.
it would be more complicated at that point.
but if we find out that he is deceased, then it
Yeah.
wouldn't be so complicated, correct?
Well, it might require opening another estate, or there are
Oh.
ways to I'd have to know,
Yeah, we'd
we'd
have
have to determine more facts, yeah.
I see, cause the people that have names on this property may have a family that is due to this.
Well, it's her mother and her aunt.
Oh, it is, I see. What's the board's pleasure, do you have anything?
I say let's start with a free phone call first and go from there.
Let's see.
Jeff?
Then, if it costs a substantial amount to find out his status, Marylynn can, request the money.
Yeah, we'll come back to the board in a couple of weeks if you have.
And what we hope is that the heirs at law that would pay these taxes, we don't wanna have to sell it to a stranger, so the hope is that would happen, and opening an estate would facilitate that as well.
Yes. Agreed,
Thank you.
okay, that's what we'd like to have done then. Yeah, come on.
Do you know this person's social security number by any chance? Because you can go to Social Security Administration and look for deceased, they have a deceased records department.
We don't have that information.
Good thought, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sandy.
However, the undertaker might have it,
If,
Gene Casey's.
But she didn't die in,
All right.
I already went through that. I mean, yeah, I already went through that, and she didn't die in Vermont. I already hunted for that, yeah.
all right, thank you
you.
very much.
Where she died.
Thank you, and nice meeting you.
Thank you, nice to meet all of you.
Sheriff Clark?
What happens is my gun's gonna get stuck in this chair when I go to stand up, so just be ready for stuff flying all over the place. In the future, when I'm coming, you just have one of those rolling chairs.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I
yeah.
I can get you one now.
He's already
But
stopped.
that I'll have to make sure I'm not, it's one of those rare times of wearing uniform, so normally it's.
I don't even
I've
have
had
to be
it
having a
happen way
gun,
too
I get
often,
stuck
know
in
it's
them
about to
chairs.
happen.
Uh-huh.
Is that your phone?
You think you're running?
Yeah, that's fine. Um,
Not blind.
okay, so we have your figures for the contract, and thank you for coming this evening.
You're welcome.
And I guess explain it for us. It doesn't look like much of an increase.
There is if you look at, compared to what your current contract is, it's 2.6%. Oh, so if you kept the same coverage that you have now, which is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the total amount would be $240,000. We're still far less than what your police department was 3 years ago. So even with our increases over the last couple of years, we're still below what they were then, without any increases they would have incurred. As in years past, I've given you some other options, which I just want to go over. One is, it's 140 hours a week coverage at $225,720. That would equate to about 20 hours a week. So basically, we would not be on the road from about 2 to 6. If we were a call out, then we would adjust the schedule somewhere else in the week. It may be that for a couple hours, no one's on the road. We probably wouldn't announce when. So
That would help.
That's a little different than what we proposed last year, which was some other options, but then we would charge you for the call-outs. We felt this way, we could manage that within that 20 hours a week. And then we also gave you the same option for 120 hours a week, which equates to about 17 hours a day. And we do, so you're down to, we may not be out from, midnight to 7 or 1 to 8, or we, adjust it depending. And again, we would try to adjust or cover call-outs by adjusting that schedule, so you're really running the risk that you're not seeing deputies out as often as you would like. The last option is going down to about 100 hours a week. It would save you about $50,000, but for each call-out, we would charge you $55 an hour with a 4-hour minimum. The reason that we're approaching it that way is if you try to adjust that 14 hours a day downward, it makes it very difficult for us to schedule, given even 14 hours a day is very tough, because I can't do 14-hour shifts. That'd be very difficult for a deputy. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do it like 8 and 6, and try to manage it some way. So if we started covering call-outs by flexing the schedule, it would be just too difficult to manage. So that's what we had there. I just want to talk about the increase a little bit. What we looked at when we first, what we did here is we added some overtime that we're seeing that we didn't anticipate. And I want to explain where that's coming from, where I believe it's coming from. And I'll give you some of these numbers, and you can make copies and do with them what you wish. So when we first looked at providing your policing, I looked at the reports or the records from your police department, their averages over a 5-year period, types of calls, and then I said, okay, we were seeing on average about 4 DUIs a year. We were seeing a lot of unlawful trespasses down at the plant. In fact, I looked at the year before that we took over, and there was 48 of them. And so many of those did not go to trial. They were either dismissed or settled before going to trial. And when you look at what we're seeing now for numbers, there's significantly more types of crime. So you can give whatever reason you want, whether it was the police department wasn't noticing things, they didn't have the right training, didn't have the right whatever it may be, we're approaching it differently, and we're seeing more types of arrests. So what I want to provide to you is, I can give you this. I apologize, I only made one copy, but it lays out from the previous year for the police department. The year we took over was July 1st of 2014. So I ran the numbers for 1 year prior to that. There was 1 assault and robbery, armed robbery in town, 1 grand larceny, 1 extortion, 48 unlawful trespass. That drove your arrest numbers up. There were 4 domestics, 1 heroin possession, 1 DUI fatal, which is a felony, 2 DUI misdemeanors, 3 abuse prevention order violations, 1 simple assault, 1 leaving the scene of the accident. That was the total number of arrests. So if you take out the unlawful trespasses at the plant, the 2 biggest violations you had were the 4 domestics and the 3 violations for abuse prevention orders. So those are tied together. So I'll give this to the chair, and she can.
You can look at it on the way.
So what I want to pass out are the numbers that what I did is I looked at the first year we were here, just the year, not year-to-date of this contract, but the last prior year. And as you can see, what we're seeing, and this is so far consistent with this year, is that we had a total of 71 arrests. almost a little over 28% were first offense DUIs. Now, that's almost 7 times more than what the police department had in the previous year. We had 14% were second offense DUIs. That's another 10. So that's 30 arrests just for DUIs. That's significant. And by the way, that number is holding true for this year. So no matter how active we are, proactive we are in taking, we even gave people a ride on New Year's Eve. We're trying to do things more than just arrest people. We're still seeing very high numbers in this community. Domestic assaults made up about 10% of the call volume for arrests. And there were 7 arrests for that and 6 for violation of conditions, and the rest go down. What's interesting is we had 1 unlawful trespass in that, I believe, because it's a felony level, must have been a trespass into a residence or an occupied dwelling. So we're not seeing, well, actually, there was 2 unlawful trespasses unrelated to the plant. There were no trespasses at the plant during the period of time that we've been here. As we know, because the plant's closing, we haven't seen the scheduled or the plant protests. So those arrests, many of them require court time, and that's where the overtime is coming from. We've tried to mitigate it as much as possible, but it does drive some cost factors for me. So I wanted to give you those so you could also see the difference in just 1 year, from year to year, direct numbers. So you already have that. This one, I'll give to the chair, she can make copies. What I did is I also broke down, we had a total number of calls in our first year of 2,241 documented calls. Of those, 914 were traffic stops for various reasons. And we had 210 agency assists. What those are is responding to medical and fire calls. Out of those, that's probably 200 to 210. The other 10 may have been assist to the state police, assist to Rat PD, but most of those are the fire rescue calls that we respond to 24 hours a day. There's a chart broken down. When you see it, you'll see that in our first month here, we handled 284 calls. That was, we were first here. We were actually clearing up some cases. We were doing follow-up on some stuff prior to us taking over. And then over the first 5 months, that decrease went from 242, 219, 232, and 208 by November. And then it continued to drop until May of this year. And then it jumped back up to 207, back to 1. So we're actually seeing the call volume actually go down. We're hoping that continues. And then with that, hopefully, the arrest amounts also go down. But this is broken out by every type of call we went to, and I'd be happy to provide that. So again, we're continuing to try to keep our costs as low as possible by managing as much as possible. But my folks get pay raises like everyone else, and there is a slight increase built in for those, and along with trying to cover that overtime that we're trying to mitigate as much as possible.
For town meeting, are you prepared to give a speech and know the breakdown, because it is ultimately the townspeople that decide whether what coverage they want?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I plan on being present. If for some reason I cannot be there, Lieutenant Mark Anderson can speak on my behalf.
Okay.
About what we'll provide, and if you were to change the number of hours, what it would cost you. But
Okay.
one or both of us will be here on that day. But again, we've tried to keep it manageable, and again, we're still well below what you were paying for your
Yes.
own police department without any increases. So yes,
Yeah.
I plan on being there.
Yeah,
That was one reason why you got the gig, was the cost, the
Yeah.
financial part of it. Just a quick question. If we go to an irregular schedule, do you have the stats as to specific days and times when you get the most calls, the most arrests?
We can run those. Our system allows us to do that. We can tell you which I mean, typically, the DUIs are at night, we are getting a few during the day, but most are at night, but the rest, we can tell you what that call volume is. Whether it's, the quietest time is probably Sunday mornings, but again, I'd have to run those numbers every
Yeah,
community,
of
but we
course.
certainly can run those.
No, it'd just be interesting from a standpoint of, if you have a lot of 6 o'clock calls or midnight calls on certain days, so.
I mean, most of the night, the 2 to 6 in the morning calls are mostly those medical and fire assist calls. But we can break that down for you, that's certainly not, and if you want, I can provide that to you prior to town meeting.
That would be good.
Let me rephrase that, Lieutenant Mark Anderson can bring
Josh, you have any questions for Sheriff?
You may not be able to tell us off the top of your head, but how does our hourly rate compare to those other towns that you service?
If you go with the 24 hours a day, it comes out to about $27 an hour.
27.47.
My other towns are looking at $49 an hour for those that do not have full-time. The communities that have full-time hours are looking around $58,000 to $60,000 for 2,000 hours in a year.
What's your highest contract outside of Vernon? Because I believe Vernon's probably your biggest spender. We're darn close.
It is my biggest overall annual contract.
Yep.
The next, actually, I think your contract and my court contract are within just a couple $1,000s of each other. The court security is provided under contract with the state.
We pay as much as the courthouse does?
They may actually pay a little more. It's right around $250.
Wow. What's your next town, I guess? Then that would be a better question.
Stratton pays right now $60,000 for 2,000 hours. So if you were to make that 4.5 positions, it would be about 260, 265 if you were to equate it out, if they were to go to full-time. And then I've got Westminster and Putney. Then I've got some other smaller ones.
Okay.
Emily?
Yeah, I had a question, if the townspeople chose to drop down the number of hours per week, do you know what your threshold would be as far as not, maintaining an office here in the town building?
Well, if we were to provide anything that you would see here, we would prefer to have an office. It doesn't necessarily have to be the big office that we have now,
Right, but.
just a
yeah.
place. Yeah.
Okay,
If you went down to just a basically per diem or hourly contract, we would have to take a look at how many hours you thought you would be considering.
Sandy?
I just don't understand some of the things I'm reading, but that's because I don't understand.
I'd be happy to answer questions.
What's disorderly conduct by electronic?
It is basically calling someone up or texting them and in a way that's threatening or tumultuous.
Okay,
And I'd have to look at the statute for the exact language, but there's a separate code for that.
thank you. I don't have any other questions.
As you look
When I
through
get to it,
that,
I'll have more.
if you have questions about what a particular code or what the numbers are, I'd be happy to explain them or look them up.
All right, thanks.
What else? From the board? No? Anyone from the audience have a question for Chief Clark? Please come up to the microphone if you do. Peggy?
I just wondered, a few months ago, you came and told us that the officers were taking EMS training? Or
We have a deputy that right now is in the EMT
EMT?
training program. We are still investigating whether or not we can find a way to get everyone that's assigned out here through that EMT program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have had occasion to have a call for help 2 or 3 times within the last year, and I've noticed that usually it's the sheriff's officer that's there first, followed very closely by the fire rescue personnel, and then rescue from Brattleboro. But I think that would be very good
Absolutely.
It would be,
I agree.
and I agree, it would be addition to what they already have for training, which is some really good basic first aid, CPR. In fact, one of the things that we do provide once we're on scene is update to fire and rescue what's going on, so they bring the right resources in the right way. And I think that's been beneficial for everyone. So we will continue to look at that, doing that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
If I could just, one
Please.
final thought, as you know, we renegotiated our contract this past year. I will tell you, we've been very pleased with how it's worked with both my office and the town, and we've had no glitches in the last 3 months, almost now 4 months. So I just wanted to point that out.
Well, thank you.
And the language that we negotiated here is incorporated into all my other town contracts.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Thank you very much, and again, if you have any questions or anyone from the town, feel free to reach out to my office.
All right, thank you very, very
So
much.
I can do this without making a mess of myself.
Well, you got up very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Okay, Steve Skibniowsky, please come forward.
Yes.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yes, you can hand those out.
Oh, the seat is all warmed up. Well, good evening. I'm here tonight in my capacity as a member of the Vermont Yankee Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel representing the town of Vernon. And I was selected by this select board here last year to fulfill that role. Just a quick overview on the Citizens Advisory Panel. It was created by the state legislature. It is comprised of 19 people from all different walks of expertise and involvement in the Entergy Vermont Yankee decommissioning picture. And this time, unlike under VSNAP, at Vermont Yankee, Entergy has actually a couple of members actually from the plant, which I find to be really a positive step. The reason I wanted to get together with you this evening, normally I would, try to get feedback on positions that the town might like to take on various topics on a kind of a one-to-one. But given the fact that we have a big slug of work that's in the pipeline right now in the decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel, I felt that it would be good to present to the board what those topics were, and that the fact that they're going to be presented, some of them at least, on November 12th, right here in Vernon at the Vernon Elementary School from 6 to 9 p.m. So if any of you, both here on the select board and members of the public, want to actually, get firsthand view of how this panel works and so forth, I would urge you to come by and sit in. It's an opportunity right here in Vernon to do that. During our last meeting of the Citizens Advisory Panel, and by the way, we meet generally about 2 months out of 3, is what our summer schedule has been at least. So we're, for instance, met in, had July and August off, and then met in September, October, and now again in November, which is kind of a weird schedule. But anyway, one of the things that was adopted at the last meeting was the concept of advisory opinions. The state legislature gave us the authority to set our agenda as far as how we would interface with the state, with the Public Service Board, with other entities, emergency response, that kind of thing. And so that we have this now a codified advisory opinion process, and so far there have been 4 advisory opinions that have been drafted. There's a process to draft those, and then a comment period, and then they will be actually discussed at the November 12th meeting. I'm not sure to what level of detail, and I'm not sure that we're going to take action on all of them, but I wanted to give you all a heads up on what is being discussed in each of these areas and what my feeling is about some of these. Now, the other thing I want to to state right up front is that my experience in this field goes back a ways. And I have developed some of the positions on some of these topics over the course of 40-something years in the nuclear business here in Vernon. But it doesn't mean that just my position is, what I'm gonna propose. What I really wanna do is get the pulse of what the town of Vernon, people in Vernon, would like to do on these topics, because some of them have some real impact to the town downstream, in other words, in the future. And so if I might, you, I believe, hopefully have distributed copies of the 4 advisory opinions, and I'll just quickly mention what the 4 of them are, and then go over them very briefly, one by one, and what I think about them. The 4 opinions that we're gonna be talking about, first one, not in any particular order, the Vermont Department of Health groundwater monitoring through license termination is the first one. And that has to do with, some of you may recall that we had a discovery back in 2010 of some tritium in our groundwater under the plant. And this talks to continued monitoring of that, and I'll get into that in a minute. The second topic here is, that I'd like to cover, is the continued funding for the Radiological Emergency Response Plan. Some of you are very intimately involved in the Radiological Emergency Response Plan and the funding for it. On the flip side, the NRC has exempted requirements for licensees after a certain period of time, once the fuel cools down enough so it doesn't present the kind of hazard that it does when it's still hot, and and an operating reactor exists. So some of you may be aware that there, at least right now in the pipeline, is a significant change in the funding structure as of next, I guess, May, June timeframe of 2016. So that's that one that we're gonna cover briefly. The third one that I'd like to just quickly review is this independent spent fuels storage installation pad. And this particular advisory opinion wants the pad to be sited somewhere apparently significantly distant from where the current pad is. And I chuckle about that only because some of you have been down to see our site. It's not terribly large, and it's pretty difficult to get there from here unless you're putting it up next to the cornfield or something. But so I'm going to discuss this briefly, and at least my feeling about it, and then you can tell me what you all think I should be taking as a position. Finally, there's this opinion regarding the, it says effectively and substantively engaging host communities in Nuclear Regulatory Commission reactor decommissioning rulemaking. This proposes that there's more involvement by host communities, but the larger host community, not just necessarily Vernon, but all of Windham County or all of the tri-state area or whatever. I want to just briefly talk about this because although this seems fairly innocuous and really a wonderful kind of apple pie kind of thing to do, there are some ramifications that impact the town of Vernon directly. It's important to remember, and I think certainly I remember it very clearly, is that Vermont Yankee is situated in the town of Vernon. It's not situated, on the border with Brattleboro or the border with New Hampshire or whatever. It's sitting right here in town. It's taking up the land that we have here in town, some of it. Not a huge piece, but some. And so I'm going to speak to that with regards to this last item. So without further ado, I'm going to plunge into number one, because I don't want to take up your time all evening here, so I'm going to try to make this quick as possible. The first one having to do with groundwater monitoring through license termination. Presently at the plant, and I know because I've been involved in this sampling process since I first discovered tritium in the groundwater back in 2010 at the plant, we currently have a program which, for want of a better word, is an identical twin program with the state of Vermont for collecting and analyzing and summarizing the groundwater data that we are pulling out of the water samples are pulling out of the ground every month or quarter, depending on which well. This advisory opinion recommends that we, having 5 years of data from 2009 until 2015, that would be 6 years of data, that we in fact look at the program with an eye towards trying to cut back on some of the costs. And in fact, consolidating this under one mutually agreed upon process with one mutually agreed upon laboratory for doing the analyses. The reason that this is important is because this is a very high cost program. And right now, the funding for this will be coming out of the decommissioning fund. There is no more revenue being generated at Vermont Yankee. So consequently, this, the current process we have where we're actually doing everything in duplicate, we're collecting twice as many samples as we need to. We're sending them off to 3 or 4 different laboratories for analysis. And all of that is a big cost. And it's right now being borne by the utility, and there, from what I can tell, it certainly will never be borne by the state. So the proposal here is to cut back to one set of samples on a periodic basis, analyzed by a mutually agreed upon laboratory that the state and Entergy can agree upon. And then the data, of course, from that being contemporaneously distributed to the parties, the state and Entergy, and thereby cutting back. Now, it's important to remember at this point, we started with quite a bit of tritium in the groundwater at the plant. Currently, the tritium in the groundwater has actually fallen below the level at which EPA recommends you don't drink it. So in other words, the water in the groundwater, although I'm not particularly fond of this type of groundwater for drinking, it has a lot of minerals in it, but it is certainly drinkable from the tritium standpoint. And I personally, having worked with radiation for 40 some odd years, would not have any qualms about ingesting that level of tritium in water that I drank routinely. But, so, that's what this proposal is all about. And there's more detail, of course, in this than I've presented to you just now. How would you like me to cover this? Do you want me to get feedback for each one of these, or just cover all of them, and then you folks can either say something now or come back to me later, or, because we do have until the 12th of November. And I do apologize for the shortness of this.
Yeah.
I should have gotten to you all sooner, but I have been really swamped. And plus, some of these just didn't come in till last week. Actually, this one in particular. Any thoughts on
Josh?
groundwater?
What's your thoughts? You wanna go per or?
I don't have any. I don't know
Okay.
enough about it to have any.
I know,
I'd rather learn a little bit more first.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't read these in detail yet, so I like the synopsis of
Well,
the
let me
recommendations.
do that, and then what we can do is say, you know, you all have my email address, and hopefully you do. And
we do.
send me any comments that you have, and you know, anything that you wanna impart to this. By the way, these are all on the state website, as far as like general public access. The state, Public Service Board, Public Service Department website, all of these advisory opinions.
There are extra copies over there too.
And we have
if
extra
anybody wants
copies
them.
here, which Katrina has very nicely agreed to prepared for us. Okay, so I'm gonna set that one aside, and that's all I really wanted to cover on that one. The next one I think I told you I was gonna talk about was continued funding for the Radiological Emergency Response Plan. This is it's a fairly hot button topic at the Citizens Advisory Panel. And particularly more so because currently the Entergy has worked out a financial agreement with the state of New Hampshire, and also is in the process of working out one with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. But so far, the state of Vermont has adamantly position that they want the same amount of money on through until after 2020. And so, obviously, I mean, the Entergy has not, just gone ahead and done that. They're still negotiating, or would like to still negotiate there. But anyway, just to quickly review that, the handout that I sent out to you lists the things that the Radiological Emergency Response Plan deals with, and it's things like comprehensive incident management. There's a list of 13 items there on the first page, and they cover things like notification, evacuation, shelter, environmental sampling, accident assessment, and laboratory analysis, another one that I mentioned there, cleanup and waste management, and so forth. That's what the current RERP manages. Presently, the NRC, which actually not legislates, but NRC, which currently controls the safety aspects of radiological events at nuclear plants, has said and has actually given plants that have already shut down the green light to cut back on their 10-mile emergency planning zone, and essentially bring it back almost to the plant fence line in most cases, because the nature of the inventory of material that we have, and also the condition of that material, is not of such energy that it can in fact have a significant impact beyond the borders of the plant after April of 2016 is the current calculation for the inventory of radioactive fuel at Vermont Yankee. So that's why the plant has petitioned the NRC to cut back, as have all the other plants that have shut down already, to cut back on the expenditure or the planning out to this 10-mile EPC for these kinds of radioactive releases. Now, that doesn't mean that the states have to cut back. They can still carry out that kind of thing, and they can carry out really any emergency planning they want to. They're simply saying that at this point in time, the release that could occur following April of 2016 is not of such a large nature that it could impact anything beyond the plant boundary. That's the basis for the cutback. What this is proposing here is that there be no cutback in these programs until sometime after 2020, and then, even then, the cutback would occur, let me see here, apparently it would occur only if the state so wanted it to be cut back. And, that's an interesting position, because what it does is this position essentially gives the state a blank check for essentially billing Vermont Yankee for anything that it wants to. And, my sense of fairness says that isn't really right. And so I've taken, up to this point, and I may change that based on what you all tell me, but I've taken at this point the fact that this goes way overboard. This blank check idea goes way overboard from what is really needed for emergency response and radiological emergency response. So, and when you read this over, and it's the lengthiest one we have, just keep that in mind, that this is a one-sided deal, essentially like we have right now with that currently the state has with Entergy right now. I would point out something else too. There's a statement in this that I wanted to call your attention to that particularly brought my ears up here, and that is that if I might find it here, yes, on page 2. Down at the end of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth paragraph, it talks about, and I'll just read it to you. well, I won't read the whole thing, but it talks about the fact that the radiation doses are going to have a psychological, radioactive material in the environment that is man-made may have a psychological effect on people buying Vermont products. I think it's very important to understand that,
Excuse me, repeat that again?
that in other words, if Vermont products like maple syrup and cheese and milk and so forth are contaminated with radioactive material that is man-made, that this can have a negative economic impact on the state of Vermont. And certainly I believe that's the case. I don't question that. But it is important to remember that we have been living with radioactive material in our food and our environment for, well, a very long time, but certainly since the weapons testing occurred back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even into the 1980s in China. And as a result of that, today you can go out to the Connecticut River or Lake Champlain or Lake Carmi and collect a fish, or any fish, especially the bigger ones, and analyze their bones and find radioactive strontium-90 in their fish bones. Now, where does that come from? Well, it comes from the weapons that were detonated back in the 50s, and it is there. And is it? I mean, do people stop eating fish? No, actually, but very few people eat fish bones, so they probably aren't really getting a whole lot of fish.
Had a few caught in my throat before.
It's, yeah. See, that's why it's strontium. No, but I'm just joking.
I know,
But at any
me
rate,
too.
the important thing to remember is that I believe most people understand that there's radioactive material in the environment. Some of it is man-made and some of it isn't. And actually, some of it in the environment is perhaps even more harmful than the man-made stuff. I mean, the radon, for instance, that people have found in some of their houses and so forth from their water supplies can be certainly a heavy dose. So in reading this over, my belief here is that they've gone overboard with this, and my recommendation on this plan is that there needs to be some joint or some meeting of the minds on what we're actually gonna do for radiological emergency response, and not just to be dictated by whatever state entity wants to spend money. Okay, so that's that one. If I'm going too fast,
No,
just say
you're
so.
fine.
And then finally, I think, finally, yes, it is finally. Oh, no, it isn't finally.
No.
There's one more after that. The next one that is particularly important to me, as a resident of Vernon, is this case that we have now before the Public Service Board, which Vernon, by the way, is a party to. You've fortunately got your foot in the door on that, and your Select Board has a party status for the siting and implementation of the second interim storage facility for spent fuel, also called an ISFISI pad. We have one there down there.
Not to be confused with a hissy fit.
Yes, not a hissy pad, but right. We have one down there now, and some of you have maybe taken a tour, have seen it, and it's got big canisters sitting on it, and there's gonna be a whole lot more. But we need, the plant needs a second one, Vernon needs a second one, because really, I think the goal of all of us is to get that fuel out of the pool and into canisters so that it can be safely kept for a long time. One of the things that's been really interesting with this decommissioning committee is we've actually gotten a chance to talk to the scientist who designed these casks. He came up, he runs the company called Hotech, and he talked about these casks in terms of 300-year life expectancy, which is a good deal longer than the 50-year that they're talking about with the canisters. Having said that, this proposes that somewhere on the 120-acre Vermont Yankee plant site, which you can see it right there in the picture, that instead of siting the second pad next to the first one, that somewhere else there on the site it get moved to. I have two problems with that. Number one, I think these should all be kept together so that they can be, in fact, surveilled and kept track of by essentially one group of people that sees everything. The second thing, the second problem that I see is the more you spread that fuel out down there, the less of the plant site is going to become available for reuse for something else in the near future. So I really don't support this advisory opinion of looking for another place on the plant site to put this fuel. I think it should go where they have studied it and where they have found a good geology for keeping this stuff safe until it can be moved out to, some salt deposit somewhere.
So these,
Not in the state of Vermont.
these casts are very heavy,
They're very heavy.
and
They don't float.
what would it entail? I mean, there's a
Well,
certain pathway.
There is. And actually, I mentioned that in my little write-up here. I said, not only would there have to be additional study of the plant site and the geology of it and so forth, but then you'd also have to, because of that machine that they use for moving these casts.
What do they call that?
It's
What's
called,
it?
I can't remember it, but it looks like this big giant robot. Picks up the cask and wheels it. Anyway, it's on tracks. It's called something though, and I can't remember what it is. I never, I've only seen pictures of it moving. I never went down there when it was actually moving. But at any rate, what would happen then is they'd have to beef up more of the roadways on the site to actually handle the weight of this thing, because it's immense. Right now, there's a clear pathway to those pad locations that's already built. It would greatly extend the time that it takes to get this stuff into casks and out of the fuel pool, and in my opinion, I'm not gonna say safer, I'm gonna say better configuration for people here in Vernon. So that's my position on that one. And then finally, the last thing here is effectively and substantively engaging host communities in Nuclear Regulatory Commission reactor decommissioning rulemaking. There is currently an ongoing effort at the NRC right now to better quantify the methodology for decommissioning reactors. And when I say the methodology, it's more the administrative portion of it rather than the technical portion of it. They pretty much know how to do the technical portion because they've been decommissioning reactors since they built the first one many, many years ago, like during the Manhattan Project. And there haven't been any, issues with those. They've been, taken apart and stuff's been sent off and so forth. But administratively, there are some difficulties. Some places like Wiscasset have experienced some economic difficulties. I don't know that the NRC is the right entity to be able to legislate how the economics of an area are to be benefited during the decommissioning of a plant. I don't think that there's any painless way to do a decommissioning as far as the impact on the economics of the area, like for instance Windham County. And anyone who expresses surprise and shock at how much this is going to impact the area was totally out of tune with what kind of funds Entergy, through its operation of this plant, was pumping into this economy here, which many of us have been trying to tell them for many years. And this is essentially saying, well, we've got to have some input so that we have a golden parachute, so to speak. There's probably no other industry that I'm aware of that closes up shop and shuts the doors and everything that have provided the kind of support that Entergy has long after it ceased power operations. I mean, you look at any other area, any other industry in Vermont or anywhere around the country, when they shut the doors and move away, they don't come back and give you, $2 million a year for 5 years or economic stimulus here and that kind of thing. They don't do that. I think that the golden goose has laid its last egg, and there are a few, golden feathers around that I guess we can line our nests with, but it's not gonna be business as usual. What we're gonna have to do as a community, not just Vernon community, but also the larger community, is to, pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and move on to the next portion of our lives. Vernon existed long before Vermont Yankee was placed here. And it was a boon to the town when it was here. But, you know, there's days ahead of us. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
We have a lot of innovative people here, and
We
we
do.
can do things differently and better in the future. Anyway, those are the four topics that I wanted to cover with you all. And I would propose that, you know, I just leave the door open to getting your comments however you want. And for those of you who want to send me an email, I'll give you my email address. It's Skibniowsky@comcast.net. And it's all lowercase, no dots between Stephen and Skibniowsky. You're welcome to send me an email or whatever. And please, these are available on the Public Service Department website, these advisory opinions. Okay?
Okay,
Can I answer any questions
yeah,
before?
Josh, you wanna lead us off with any questions if you have them?
No, I don't have any questions. Sounds like with your experience and your knowledge that your expertise given to us is gonna be very beneficial, and we appreciate it.
That's what my goal is to make sure that you all stay informed, and particularly important as we go forward, because, you know, these first few years are gonna be formative, but then there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening down the road. And so we need to be aware that this reactor is sitting here in our backyard, and it's not going anywhere for a long time.
Jeff, do you have anything?
Oh, just, thank you, Steve.
Sandy?
Thanks.
Emily?
Okay.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, my
I
pleasure.
really appreciate
This,
your.
I've enjoyed in some ways, this assignment. It has also given me a bit of heartburn from time to time, but it is something I'm glad I can contribute something to the
Yep,
town.
all right, well,
Thank
thank you so very much.
And I hate to run, but I've got another meeting in Brattleboro I've got to go to.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm not leaving because I want to, but I do
All right,
need calls.
thank you.
Yeah.
Not to backtrack, but we forgot to accept his resignation, so we need to make a motion to that. So we'll do it under, public participation, because that has, to do with whatever's on here, okay? Just so we don't forget it, okay? Right, we're gonna put, wills and cemetery stuff on a, future, agenda? Is that right, Nancy? Okay. And then now we'll do bills and warrants.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve and pay the following warrants. Before I do that, let me just make sure we have, pretty sure we had all the signatures for.
Oh, I was
have.
gonna give these to you.
I'm pretty sure I did, but I just want to double check. 3, 4. Okay, warrant 15-16.8, accounts payable, $32,272.62. 42S payroll, $8,271.09. 43S payroll, $8,356.17.
I need a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Motion's been made and seconded to pay warrants 15-16.8, accounts payable, in the amount of $32,272.62. 42S payroll in the amount of $8,271.09. 43S payroll, $8,356.17. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, minutes?
You do not have the 27ths in there. They were not available at the time that the package was being copied.
Okay,
So that one will need to be tabled.
all right. So done. So, the Tuesday, October 13th, it will just be Josh, Emily, and I, as Sandy wasn't here and Mike is no longer with us. So,
But he was there.
Right, but
Oh, you mean
I
voting?
Can't vote.
Oh, voting, gotcha. Sorry, I was getting candy.
you should have apologized to me. If I could eat it, I'd be right there by that bowl. Have my pockets full, my pocketbook full. So what's the pleasure? Someone, one of you.
We're waiting for a motion.
I am, for that one.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented for a special meeting on October 13th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes as written of the special meeting dated Tuesday, October 13th. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay, then the next one is the 13th. I mean the 19th, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the minutes of October 19th as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes of our regular meeting, October 19th, as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, Nancy had discussion.
Nancy had a,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wondered why I asked if the, document with the town clerk's office cemetery dues could be included, and I don't see it there.
It's an addendum to it, so in the minutes it will be, or in the, town clerk's office,
Does it
it will be
say?
attached as an addendum. I thought I wrote that, did I not write that?
I thought I saw
I
that.
thought I had there somewhere about an addendum, but I don't have
I
my
don't see it like
package.
at the end, which would be a good place for it to
Okay,
be.
so I will add that, so we'll do it as corrected if,
So as corrected, yeah, because I thought it was here too.
thank you, I thought I put it in there.
It might be in the minutes, but it might be good just to have it again at the bottom.
At the bottom.
You know, like an enclosure,
Yeah.
an enclosure with a letter.
Okay, so, friendly amendment, Sandy?
yes.
So it would be approved as corrected. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And it was, as of- on page 2, it was referenced.
Okay, I thought it was.
I will add it to the bottom though, so that it's clearer.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, yes,
I have a
those
question.
minutes are accepted already.
I know, I didn't put in this piece on the cemeteries, and I apologize for that. I could still put it in the December newsletter. What I wanna know is to whom do I speak about what you want me to say in that article? Do I speak to Marylynn or do I speak to you?
For the cemetery stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything to do with the cemeteries, it would be Mary Lynn.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
please. Thank you. And they're meeting,
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 1.
I won't be here.
Okay. Okay, next minutes. Which is, our special meeting Tuesday, October 20th.
I move that we accept them as printed.
Second. I'm pretty sure I read that one.
Yeah. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes of our special meeting, Tuesday, October 20th, as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain also, cause I was only there for like the last
That's right.
10
Yes.
minutes of
Late.
the meeting.
Yep, that's very good, thank you. And understandable. Now our emergency meeting. I will explain, nobody was there on last Wednesday when we met. Otherwise I would have come out and said, you know, what was happening at that point, I would have said. But I needed the select board to know that I had received the resignation of Mike Courtemanche before anybody else got a hold of them and blindsided them, so that's why we met. That's why we had our emergency meeting. Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for October 28th emergency meeting as written.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of our emergency meeting of October 28th as written. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay. Everybody set to move on? Mr. Miller and Mr. Miller. Come on up.
Grab a Tootsie Roll on your way. Yes, it's my leftovers. I don't wanna bring it home.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And what can the board do for you?
I'm wondering if we
Hopefully.
can meet with you confidentially, would that be possible?
It would be, but I have to have a good reason to. And you have to fall under this or this, I'm kidding, I'm joking. It has to be negotiating or securing real estate purchases or lien options. But you had something that you thought it might come under though.
Yeah, well, I forgot.
Let's see what she has to say, instead of me reading it all.
I think we under,
Under the real estate? Okay,
Madam Chair, I
Yes.
move that the board go into executive session with Arthur and Peter Miller on Title I, VSA 313A2, negotiating or securing real estate purchase or lease options.
Second.
all right, motion's been made and seconded to go into executive session with Art and Pete Miller under 1 VSA 313, I'm not gonna repeat it completely, so, did you get it? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. All right, we went into executive session at 8 PM, came out at 8:30, and no action was taken.
Isn't that crazy?
And we'll move on. Public participation, and that has anything to do with agenda items?
Okay, Madam Chair, we do need to accept Mike Courtemanche's resignation with lots of regret. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept Mike Courtemanche's resignation with deep, and lots of it, regret. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. And anybody else? This is anything to do with the agenda. Okay, moving on. The correspondence, we all got an email from the seniors. It says, do you remember that? Does everybody get that? It was to do with, it says to the Vernon Selectboard, all of us, and dear Selectboard, the subject of the senior furniture was discussed at our meeting today. We would appreciate the pieces being returned to the senior room. This furniture was donated to the seniors and is used. This also brought up a usage of the storage room, but we won't get to that because that's not necessary as of yet. Then when I called Nancy and she said that she would return them, and then she called Carol, or no, she emailed Carol, I guess, and and she apologized for, any misunderstanding because she did not know that the pieces belonged to the seniors. The seniors would like those pieces returned. After talking with Carol, apparently Carol said that she didn't mind, but, there's more than just the two chairs, I forgot the one small table as well. They're asking to have it, they're left up there until, the January meeting of the seniors. They're using it upstairs in the foyer. A lot of people are coming in and sitting in them and using them to sit down and converse and so on and so forth. However, we do have a request for them in the seniors. What's the board's pleasure?
And they belong to the seniors?
They do. They were given to the seniors, I wanna say maybe, let's see, I think I was still assistant treasurer then, so that would be between 83 and 87. And I know that, Jerry Kirk had a lot to do with that, and I believe that, VY donated them to the seniors, and it was specifically donated to the seniors.
Seems like it should be to the seniors then.
Agreed.
Okay, so, do you want me to contact, the town clerk's office and have them brought back to the seniors room?
Yeah.
Or the big room, I should say, it's not really.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So done. Any other correspondence? Future agenda items? Just a minute, please. Hold on, okay? Go ahead, Nancy, you have to come up, please, so I can hear you. And that the tape gets it on tape.
I'd like to read this in relationship to that letter. And I will give you a copy of it when I'm finished. It's to the Vernon Selectboard. I cannot speak for all the seniors. I am here to represent some of them. We meet twice a month. Our next meeting is the Thanksgiving dinner. I would think the seniors feel this is a time to put negative into positive. The removal of our furniture now brings several thoughts and plans we have to the forefront. It seems this is the time to move ahead in a positive way. The seniors will have new officers in 2016, and now that the preschool has left, this is a good time for us to organize. The select board needs to decide, is the long time called senior room going to remain so? Are you going to make the room smaller? If it is the senior room, may we have permission to have Kevin work with the seniors to clean the room? Remove everything, clean floors and walls, remove old Vernon newspaper items and furniture. Historian items can leave, they have 2 buildings. Seniors would like to reorganize the room and maybe move our cabinets and file drawers into the room. Permission to buy our own lock and key to the room with Kevin installing such. We may be getting more items donated to us. We are planning on maybe more fundraisers such as dinners, parties to increase our membership with fun activities for many. The seniors are looking forward to a larger membership and need to know if the select board is willing to let us have our senior room.
You can't make a decision on that tonight, you understand that. And,
But I just thought that this was a time to be a little more positive.
well, I will say one thing, that we cannot guarantee this room will be, fully used by the seniors. And we cannot say whether the room will be used or not. We don't know at this time. We are looking into using part of that room, yes. But that won't be, and we're not gonna make a decision tonight on this, but thank you. Also now, you were going to say something, go ahead.
For future agenda items,
Yes,
the liaisons we need to look at.
oh, yes.
I have liaisons and I have cemeteries and wills.
And October
Yeah,
27th.
but cemeteries and wills, we'll just wait to see when. But the liaisons will be next, meeting, okay?
Yep.
Also, because there's not gonna be, Sandy's not gonna be able to be here tomorrow night, right?
Right.
And I think because we're working the full budget, that we need a full board, let's postpone that, and it would have to be 2 weeks, because the following week, which is the 10th, right, would be that meeting, for the public
Yes,
forum,
that's right.
so we don't wanna conflict with that.
Right.
And, then we meet again on the 16th. You know, Katrina's been so nice to give me a thing right here, and I never look at it.
I know you're always,
I'm always squinting to see. Okay, please. Let's see, where I go again. The 10th is the forum,
So you're looking at the 17th.
so the 17th, what do you think? Is that okay?
I think it'd be good too, cause we're just getting the.
You're just getting it,
yeah,
and
so
you can
to
look
look
through
at
the
it,
whole
it'll give us
budget
time
and
to
stuff
look
like
at
that. And Jeff, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'll give Jeff a chance to catch up.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah, I don't have
It's
Yeah.
right there.
it. Oh, underneath?
It's underneath that one.
Yeah,
There you
alright.
go, okay.
that's the full, first round of the full budget.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
cancel tomorrow night, just a minute. We're gonna cancel tomorrow night and move that to, the 17th of November. And that's okay with the board, it's a consensus? Yes?
17.
Yes, okay. And, yes, okay, now, come on, Vernon.
Our library director will be on vacation on the 17th. She won't be back in the office until the 23rd.
Correct.
Yeah, we can't wait much longer, we really have to get this, but I mean, I don't know.
Do you need her?
Well,
I think at this point, you guys are looking at the budget
Yeah.
as a whole
Yeah, as a-
and not, we hadn't called back
Well,
any departments.
we're not really, because there are a couple of things that we have to add back in and take out. But, the only thing that I know was in question for library would be the same as the townspeople, the town employees, I mean.
Salaries?
The
salary
salaries.
increase, yeah.
If the town, if we vote to give, the town employees 2.5, then we plan on probably cutting that back. I don't know that, I can't speak for the whole board, that's just a thought. But if we go with, the 5% increase, then we'll probably stay, everything will stay that way. But
Alright,
we're gonna
it
look
was-
at both budgets then.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And, boy, that's, let's see, anything, do you have anything for future agenda items, Josh?
Well, I'm just hoping I can be there on the 17th.
Do you want to postpone it until a little bit
I
farther
don't
out?
wanna postpone it at all, but
I
we
know,
gotta
and
do what
neither
we
do
gotta
I,
do.
but,
The following week will be Thanksgiving week.
That's Thanksgiving week.
yeah,
Yeah.
we really can't go too far into, I mean, we could maybe go into the 1st of December.
What about a different night of the week?
We could do that. Would you rather?
I don't know what my conflict will be. I'm gonna be in the same,
You're just
I'm
guessing.
gonna be in the same boat as we were at the budget meeting where I showed up with 20 minutes left in the meeting. I
So
have
would it be every night that, or just Tuesday night? Because
just
we
the,
could-
I don't know whether it's the 10th or the 17th that I have that regular meeting that may go till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or may be done at 5:30, and I'll be here in plenty of time. It just,
Do you wanna let
and
us know?
that's up in the air and never know
Well-
what's gonna happen.
We could have it the 18th or the 19th.
Let's keep it at the 17th for now. I'll figure out whether it's the 10th or the 17th that I have that meeting, and hopefully it's the 10th.
Okay, and if
And
it
we
is,
don't have
you
to worry
move-
about it.
All right, and if so, we can move it, to a different night or something.
Yeah.
The only thing with the 19th, if we go through to a Thursday, I have to leave at 7, just to sound the alarm, the siren, and then I'd be back, but, so,
Let's leave it at the 17th, and I
Okay.
will be in touch if there's an issue. If you don't hear from me, then there's not an issue.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds great. All right,
Okay.
I will entertain a motion to,
So moved to adjourn.
Second.
all right, before we do, I will say one thing. Thank you, Jeff, for stepping up to the plate. I appreciate it, and welcome back.
For letting me come back.
All those in favor signify by saying aye to adjourn.
Aye
Aye.
to adjourn.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.